Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to 365 My Life, the podcast, Hello 30s. Now, even though it's called Hello 30s, it is for everyone. We all go through different life changes and then life situations. So, welcome. My name is Shamira. I am your host. I am the founder and CEO of 365 My Life. 365 My Life is basically a program that helps you plan your life and live your life on autopilot. For this episode, we're going to really get deep into something. We're going to get into when you're spiraling. And when I say spiraling, meaning like mental health. Say that you're a workaholic and you're on the go. And that's all you just know of. You're just going. And because you're going at a certain pace mentally, you realize that there's a disconnect physically. Your body is not going, but your mind is racing. There's so many things that you're just thinking of and so many thoughts that's just flowing through it's uncontrollable. And this is how a lot of people develop bipolar, how a lot of people experience things for the first time. And there's medication for it. There's different things that you can take to slow your brain down, to slow your thoughts down. I like to preface this by saying I am not a medical professional. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I'm not in that field. I don't read all the researches, but I can talk by experience and also talk with you guys from the experience of what my friends and I, my clients and I, and also what I have experienced. So we're just having a conversation. We're not going to put things by law on this. We're not going to recommendations or even advice. Definitely make sure you talk to a professional on this. But let's get back to the topic at hand. It's all about spiraling. So say that you are in the process of trying to get your life back on track, or you're in the program and you're doing the process and you're trying to just slow down, right? It's like slow down, think, take a minute and see where you're at. Here is how you could slow down, and here is how you could stop spiraling. In 365 My Life, the book, I do not talk about any of this stuff. This is things that did not make it in the book because it's not really about that. But as we are walking this thing called life, things are going to pop up. When you're in your 20s, guys, it's a whole different world. Your body is going, and this is for men and female. And you're just going at a pace that you just don't even recognize. You're just going. And I do feel like there's a separation of women and man when your 30s enters the game. And granted, I feel like it's a spiritual separation, that you start realizing that even though you're one species, you're two different kind. Even though we're mankind, we're two different kind of mankind, right? Or, maybe the correct terminology is like we're different type of species. I don't know, guys. I'm not technical in this, but you get what I'm saying. And when you get to a point as a woman and you're going at the same time, and you're like, wow, things are changing. Like, I'm not moving as fast as I used to. My focus and my hormones are kind of out of whack. That's just the nature of being a woman, right? And I will never forget, this is where my wake-up call came when I was working at a studio and I was a temp. And when you're in a temp job, everything's competitive and you just don't want to get fired the next day. So everything was like, oh, I gotta. And I remember the boss was like, who wants to do this? And you didn't want to seem lazy, because then if you seem like lazy and out of whack, then you're on the chopping block. And everybody jumped up and I was like, man, I'm so exhausted. I don't even want to do it. You know what? They can do it. And when I say they, I'm talking about the men. The men jump up in their 30s, 40s. You would think that you had a shiny ball in front of them. And they jumped up and they wanted to do this particular task. The task was over. It wasn't that bad, but I was exhausted. I was like, you know what? You guys win. And that was the first time I realized, wow, for the first time, a workaholic like me, who's like a go-getter, who you don't even have to ask, I always think ahead of the game, I actually waved the white flag. I was done competing because I looked at them in their 40s. Granted, I was in my early 30s, leaving my 20s, and they were like entering their 40s. They had the energy of a mule. Like, they were ready to conquer the highest task in the workforce. And I looked at that, and I feel like that was the first sign of me changing, and my hormones in my body was changing. So going back to the topic itself, I realized that in that moment of my life, other things were popping up. Like, I was just overthinking things to the point that I overthought, and then my mind was constantly going to the point I couldn't stop it. Like, I couldn't sit down and think and be in a quiet setting because it was like racing. It was like a flood. It was like a faucet. And I thought I was going crazy. I thought, wow, this is how mental illness starts. And wow, this is it, right? This is now, I finally had it. It's in my family. And then I was like, wow, this is it. So in that moment, I calmed myself down and I said, okay, we got to start monitoring this. So I took a piece of paper out. Actually, no, I didn't take a piece of paper out. I went on Google Docs. Google Docs is my thing. And I start to take and do a list of things that were happening, meaning like when it happened, the dates, what happened, how was my mood and everything. Because what came with it was I had extremely terrible mood swings. And I'm not saying this, when I had mood swings in the past, but like the mood swings now was like a little unnoticeable, right? And I noticed it because I never would get so angry and so like change. And when I'm meaning like, it would be like something so simple that I would challenge you on. And I was never that person. I was like, okay, whatever, you win. But I would challenge people on certain things that was so simple. And in my mind, it was the right thing to do. And I knew like, no, that's something's wrong because it's not. It was just stupid, right? So I started note-taking all of that. And I started getting afraid, of course, because it's like, wow, like medication or, I got to see a therapist. I got to do all these things. And it wasn't until we entered the era of the C-19 that I realized that my body was screaming at me. And I have explained this in previous, talks. So definitely look at podcasts before talking about mental health and health, gut health and stuff like that, and eating right. But like, I realized because I was always on a go, I never sat down and listened to myself. And that goes back to 365 My Life. That's why myself is very important. That's the first section that we got to focus on. I didn't know how to listen to myself. I thought it was getting a massage, getting my hair done, doing my nails. No. Myself is all about the internal work, not just the therapy, the mental, the triggers that we talk about. But myself is also about what are you taking in? And for the first time in my life, guys, believe it or not. And look, I'm still young. I'm in my 30s. 30 years on earth, right? For the first time in my life, I realized that my body is a machine. And if I don't properly take care of it, I can't get a new one. It is what it is. And I feel like we have to look at life like that. We got to be thankful that God has blessed us with a body itself. A body that can breathe, right? A body that can move. A body that can just operate. despite if you have any disabilities, you have a body where you're living soulless. And we have to take care of that body. That's why the temple of God is very important, right? We have to take care of it. So in that moment, my body was screaming at me, and I was ignoring it for many years because I didn't know how to take care of a body. I thought just exercising, going to boot camp and getting a massage and, doing all these luxury things is the way of taking care of a body, or taking like medication that would like help me, for a period of time. No. What are we consuming? So on this road of a spiraling mind that cannot stop, I could not get it to stop. And I'm not saying I was hearing voices, but it was just constantly running like a faucet. I was thinking about everything under the sun, to the point where I realized I had to go back to the basics. What did my parents teach me as a child? And this is why discipline in a family and your home is very important. If you are a mother out there, if you are a father, if you are a parent out there, let me tell you, if you discipline your child, that is the best thing you can ever do. If you set rules for your kids, that is the best thing that you can ever do. Because as an adult who's living on their own, as a single woman living on her own, I had to go back to the lessons of my parents growing up in elementary school. That's how real I had to go back to. That's how real it got. Because I was like, obviously, I'm not taking care of myself the way I thought I was supposed to be taking care of myself. When I was a child, I was taken care of, obviously. I had to be taken care of. What did I eat? What did I do? What time did I go to sleep? All those things mattered. So you know what happened, guys? I had to go back to that little girl in Virginia Beach and by the ocean front, Sword Dancer. If y'all really know me, you know where Sword Dancer is at. But I had to go all the way back to that neighborhood and think about the little girl that grew up there. I had to be in the house by the street lights. I had to be in the bed by 9 p.m. I needed to get a full night rest. I remember my dad's voice. You need to get some sleep. My mom, you need to get off that computer. I remember all these things. And I remember the foods that we ate, So it was one of those things where I had to take myself back there. And now I am so grateful that my parents actually enforced this stuff. That's why when I see people and their kids up at 11 p.m. during the school night and they're all doing this and doing that, I'm like, y'all don't even know. You're setting them up because there's going to be a time, there's going to be a transition in everybody's life, this life. That's why they say quarter life crisis. That's why they say all these different things, adulting. Because once you start transitioning and spiritually start transitioning, you start realizing what life is for itself. You start realizing that life is what it is, right? And everybody goes through it. So parents, set your kids up. Say no. Like, for example, I couldn't get every candy every time I went to the grocery store. Guess what? I had to start saying to myself, no, you do not need it. Because I was thinking about my mom and my dad in my head, because I used to eat a Snicker bar every time I went grocery shopping every week. That's not healthy. So anyway, guys, sorry, went on a tangent, but it's real. My point is, you're spiraling and you don't know what to do. Create a list, create something of your mood swings of what's happening. And once you're doing that, after you create your mood swings, then I want you to start putting yourself on a schedule. You need to go to sleep. You need at least 8 to 9 hours of sleep. Guys, sleep is so powerful. And let me tell you how powerful it is. God ordained it. God rested on the 7th day. Our bodies are machines. And if you're working 8 days, 9 days without resting, you're going to go mentally crazy. Because guess what? God has not created us to work 8 days straight, 7 days straight. We are meant to rest on the 7th day. So if you're not doing that, you're going to develop something because you're out of order. Your life is out of order. So you need to get your sleep. That's the number one thing. Number two, you need to eat greens. You need to eat a salad. You need to eat vegetables, and you need to eat fruit. Get that on your plate ASAP. I was a person that never liked fruit, vegetables, or any of that stuff. But guess what? I started to develop a taste for it as I got older because I had to. I started throwing it on my plate. The minute I realized during C19, right? I was like, oh my gosh. You know, they're telling us to eat healthy. How do you even do that? Oh, I haven't ate a salad in like 2 years, you know? I just ate protein, chicken, and that's it. I was good. But that's not healthy. So I thank God that God has put signs. And now I realize that when your body is starting to change, is trying to tell you something, we need to listen. But eating a salad, fruits, vegetables, make it a daily habit. Make sure you start reading the things on the labels. I realize now that there were certain things that my body was, again, yelling at me, screaming at me about. And there was one product that I used to drink weekly, daily, that was causing it, the big issue. And we will get into that in another topic. But that is like all goes together. So, yes, God has created so many things on earth to get us in order. Take advantage. There's teas. I live in a Asian predominantly community. And one thing I have learned is they do a lot of natural remedies. They actually have a tea shop where you have to get a prescription to get certain teas for healing. They don't do medicine, pills, or anything. They have teas. I thought that was fascinating. So same thing, guys. Start consuming things that, you know, will give you energy and give you that. Not against taking pills, because sometimes you got to take it, right? But understand that if you want to slow down your mind, if you are going through and engaging in mental illness and stuff, start eating, start sleeping, start praying, start fasting. You know what I mean? Get back in order, because your body is out of order. But get back into life. Get back into the world of order, right? So, anyways, there's so much I can say on this topic. And I want to do a disclaimer. If you have a therapist, definitely get a therapist. I'm actually looking for one. Because I'm now, like, I have overcome the, like, mind racing thing. Thank you, Jesus. I am not there anymore. I honestly thought I was bipolar. I thought it was entering it. But because I realized that my body was just not, like, I wasn't in my 20s anymore and I wasn't eating right, I started eating more vegetables. I started sleeping more. I started doing certain things to help me calm it down. However, I'm a person that I like my personal space, and I like to be alone. And when I see you, I'll just dump everything on you, right? So I'm getting a therapist, and and a lot of my friends have them too. And a lot of my clients do have them. So that's what kind of got me thinking, like, why not? Why not? But also, even if you are taking medication because you've been diagnosed with bipolar, you've been diagnosed with like other symptoms, that mental illness where you're hearing voices, 100% take your medication. It helps ease the mind. It helps you operate in this world, right? The enemy does not have you because you have that disease. You are still walking in the authority of Christ. You just have to claim God, right? And also, you can still do your part by eating right and keeping your body, your physical body, your brain, everything that you have intact. So anyways, thank you guys for this episode of 365 My Life, the podcast, which is Hello 30s. Things that you probably didn't know entering your 30s, and now you are. Most of the content is going to be women related. Men, you're welcome to listen in and eavesdrop. It's okay. But I enjoyed having this conversation with you guys. And guys, remember, be strong and courageous in Christ. Anything you can do, you can overcome, right? Anything you do, you can overcome any battle, any fear. Just make sure that you're strong and courageous and keep that mindset. I do want to do a little plug. I finally finished a course. I think I mentioned last episode. Definitely you can get that at 365mylife.com. You would join the actual a different website where the courses are at. You can get that right now if you want to go through the whole experience. But next week, we will have a different topic on how to keep your life on track and how to apply this to your daily skills. So on your list, if your mind is racing, then I think the first thing that you need to do is know how to cook, get your recipe books. And this is going to, like, if you're doing like a daily plan and you're like, okay, this is what I need to do, definitely order recipe books. Cook your meals every week. Make sure you know what you're going to eat. Also, there's so many things like I like to spray my bed with melatonin. So my mom gave that to me and I'll order it. You spray your pillow with melatonin, the best sleep of my life. I was taking the pills, but then sometimes I feel like the pills keep you drowsy for like 2 days. But spraying the pillow is really good. If you don't want to do that, get a candle. Get a lavender candle. Works just as good. Also, you can get like a purifier where you could put the little oils in it, and lavender is floating in your apartment or your house. That works well as well. Just make sure you don't go to sleep with a candle, because sometimes it will knock you out and you're like knocked out. Also, what else do I do? You dim your lights. And this is all the research that I did, because I was like, I gotta go to sleep, because when your mind is racing, you're just up all night researching. So what I started doing is I turned my TV off, get off my phone by 9 p.m. because I wanted to be asleep by 10. Or by 7:30, I'll turn everything off. I'll read a book, read the Bible, study, and fall asleep by like 9:30. And then also I would dim the lights. So I would have a bright light in my apartment, but then towards 7:30, I would have the dim light. And it's so amazing to look at this now, because I don't hardly use it as much. But the reason I bought a certain type of light from Amazon, which I will drop the link, is because it created a sunrise and sunset light in my apartment to get my body, because like I said, our bodies are machines. I hate to say it that way, but it is what it is. There's certain traumas our bodies will remember because of certain events that happen in our life. So if you start getting anxiety by a certain time of the day, your body's going to remember that. That is real. So we have to make sure that we monitor our bodies that way. I'll give you a quick example. I had coffee. I used to get up in the morning and drink coffee. And I was working on and when I did it with writing. So when I used to write, I used to get up in the morning, drink coffee, make a coffee cup, whatever. So I had a writer's meeting with this person. I love her to death, and she's well known. Oh my gosh, guys, this was so embarrassing. I went and met with her at a coffee shop, ordered coffee there, didn't think anything of it. This lady forgot about my coffee. And I said, hey, can I get my coffee? She was like, oh, and I saw her think, and she put another shot in there. So she gave me double the shot of the coffee. So I didn't think anything of it, because I'm like, okay, well, it's just coffee. Like, it's like water, right? I'm drinking that coffee, y'all. And let me tell you, my heart, we had a meeting with a producer who had money in Egypt to get money for something. She was sitting there. My heart was about to jump out of my skin. I thought I was gonna die right there. I was like, I freaked out, and I was like, oh my gosh, guys, I think I gotta call the hospital. Because my heart was about to jump out of my body. I could not control it. It was beating so fast. And it was hot too, because I'm in Los Angeles, middle of the summer. All I know is she grabbed me, threw me against the wall, put ice on me. It was just so embarrassing, because it was a meeting. And I went to the store. I was talking to the people in the store, and they were throwing things on me too. And she drove me to the hospital, and then they were like, oh, you had a bad reaction to coffee. And they laughed it off and stuff. And I was like, whatever, y'all. I was about to, I really felt like if God didn't have his hand on me, I would have been dead. But thank you, Jesus. I went home, but every day at 12 p.m., I had a reaction. My body remembered that reaction, and I had anxiety for the first time. My heart would beat really fast. I had to lay on the ground, like my friend told me, with my hands up in the air to calm my body down. And I was in a prayer group at the time, and they used to pray for me at 12 p.m. every day because of that event. I went through that for 2 years. And till this day, like if I even touch strong coffee, my body remembers. So it's very important for our bodies, right? To train our bodies to eat healthy, to be healthy, to think healthy, right? Because it's kind of like a flower. It is like a flower. The Bible refers to us as grass, and like we can be here and cut down later on. We are so delicate. So you have to be operating in positivity and just know that, hey, this food is healthy to my soul. This food is really good. My body's craving certain things. When your body starts craving tomatoes and craving apples, and they start craving these things, you need to eat it, because your body knows what you don't know. They know that those certain fruits, vegetables, is what's going to heal what's forming inside of them. They need more of that, right? So let's get on it, put it on your list, pray on it, ask God to lead you where you need to go, and I will see you in the next episode of 365 My Life. Hello 30s. Bye guys.